This is it, Jacob. The last opportunity. Chapter 5 Major 1, last qualifier and last chance in the last batch for these players to make it to the semifinals. A reminder, based on the series points from these duos, they will either be able to qualify to the upper bracket in the semifinals if they are top 50, and if they're in the lower 200, they'll make it to the lower bracket of the semifinals, and that is what these duos are competing for today, and this is their last chance to make it happen.
Yep. For some, it's about holding on to your spot in the uppers. For others, it's about taking over a spot in the upper bracket. And it's going to be a nail-biter finish for some, because just looking at the different thresholds, there's a lot of players in this, not necessarily in this game, but in the top 250 still fighting for it. Fordoxy and Trippin getting a huge elimination there just outside of zone, which kind of allows them to pack a punch. You got to match it with 5 total eliminations as a team. Storm Surge has to be going well. They have heals in the floppers. They have more than enough to work with when they want to make this rotation in terms of crash pads and that Flowberry Fizz. They're definitely set up quite nicely.
Quite nicely for the nice little jump it onto the engagement. It's Trip, but his teammate has tripped and fell. Fordoxy gets knocked down. Now the 1 versus 2, but it looks like Trip could just come out on top here. One more shot needed to connect to take out one of his opponents, but now he might have just went for the passive route here. The issue is his duo partner, I don't know if he's going to be able to get him up in time while his opponents are just healing up now. Back to 100 shield, back to 100 HP, but he has recuperated the loot and disengaged here. I was hoping he was just going with confidence there.
I like the thought process behind it. Instead of trying to battle it out, use your heals, going for the revive, potentially in this 1v2 going down as well. Trip is just letting Fordoxy go down, getting that reboot card with the hopes of getting him back in the game later on. But you got to take note, a lot of these games are going to heal off as well. Every second Trip stays in the zone is a second less that he can play the heal off later on in the game due to Storm Sickness.
We'll see what ends up happening here as Trip now is just kind of waiting for his opponents to disengage here. And like you said, Jacob, reboot card in hand. We'll find an opportunity to bring him back. We're in the 5th zone, 31 duos, 59 players. It's a bit more stacked compared to the last game. And now the reboot attempt will come through.
Interested to see if this team can kind of come back from getting rebooted and have a big day. They're already high up on that series point leaderboard, so for them it's about conditioning and practice and reps in these different styles of lobbies. Diox and Cade, 4 eliminations, landing over towards Snooty Steps more times than not in these lobbies, and they're not afraid to get aggressive when push comes to shove. And you can see where they're positioned right now on the map. They only have a few teams around them, and with the grapple blade, it's not too hard for them to cover distances and get out of there.
This is the most relaxed I've seen Diox in a while, alongside Cade. Looking like some mountain goats there on the side of the hill. Splash, though. Has he been left as a solo? I'm not sure. Trip, like we saw, able to bring Fordoxy back into the match. But now they will be making it into the zone a bit later. They're actually choosing to use a lot of these heals that they have, the floppers, the medkits, to get a better rotation into the zone and maybe even recuperate some of the loot that was left over from that engagement. Luckily enough, being the 6th zone, they do have the time to spend in zone here.
You can see it's like the rotation that they kind of patented, but without the Flowberry or the Fizz, it's definitely going to be much harder to cover that same distance. It's a little bit of a messed up from Trip, forcing out first of a couple medkits. They definitely fought to give themselves this position in the game. Right now, they're going to be able to easily make it in towards zone. He's setting the crash pad up yet again. He's just trying to minimize the amount of HP that he's taking. That way, he can possibly give over that medkit to Fordoxy.
Oh, Round 2 worked out well. Medkits in both players' hands. And they saw on their west there, they do have 2 duos based up. Diox decided to move up early as well. Meanwhile, Giraz, Chari taking shots of the duos that just rotated on in. iDrop, though, without Nebs, as a solo, 91 below, putting himself into this engagement while the third parties are taking shots. It's not the place you want to be in this last match.
Yeah, he made a quick play right there to try to steal away some of the loot of his fallen teammate, Nebs. Just trying to keep himself back up. Maybe if he has the reboot card as well, but the opportunity is close but surely to try to get his teammate back into the game. And he's taking this time to try to rotate when the zone opens up the top of the mountain where not too many teams are currently positioned at. But he gets tagged up along the way, which means he has to pause so that way he doesn't risk going down overall.
Let's take a look here. What happened to Nebs? I'm curious. As he played extra aggressive here, we can see. Got a nice piece, but the duo is going to be the one that did finish him off. Damage was done, but not enough to get a knock. As we go back to Verdoxy and Trip, who are looking incredibly strong in this match.
And it almost looks like you would have never guessed joining in that these guys were taken down at one point or another. 7 elimination, max mats, a great loadout. Only thing is they still have to cover so much distance before they find the safety in towards the zone. And this is exactly how they got back into the game. Crouching through the bush with the pre-edited walls. There goes one, down goes the other. And just like that, they're back in.
Back in. As Diox now is trying to get back into the storm here, the zone. Apologies, as now those duos that we saw based up on the edge are going to be the ones applying the pressure. Here they do not want to get cracked, as it will just cause more and more duos to keep taking shots. They know how dangerous this position can be. But it looks like they've lasted off well. All the duos you can see at the bottom right now making their rotate on in. Storm Surge ticker is appearing. So for the duos that have not done enough damage, it's going to cause those stress levels to rise. Hopefully they won't panic, but you might just have to make some risky plays.
I'm hoping we get a train end game. I'm hoping we get in and just crashes right through everybody and see how everybody reacts in real time to something like that happening. But only time will tell if that comes to fruition. We're moving south on the map, further and further down. You can see Crow and Jose, I should say, moving down the mountain a little bit. They already have their box set up to where they're gonna rotate to, but they immediately go to the backside of zone, just trying to catch anybody off guard, rotating from point A to point B.
Other duo representing Spain, Jose and Crow. No elims on the board, but still able to make it happen, especially if zone pulls up north, and there it is. This could be what they needed. They have an incredible zone pull here. Looks like they're the only duo, basically, on the side of that hill. There was one more, a bit higher than them. Now they have all the freedom to take shots at these duos that have to rotate in, like Wheat and Shimoki. How much HP does Shimoki have, Jacob?
1.
That's gotta be 1. That's
1.
gotta be 1.
Not even a full HP. At least that's what it looked like. And he's gonna have to play confidently, like he has more HP than that. But at least it's not a max pull for him, so the rotation is gonna be a little bit easier than it could have been if it was. But everybody beginning to rotate before Shimoki and Wheat, which is gonna make it that much harder for them to find that sweet spot inside of the zone.
Grapple Blade getting put to good use. No shots connected onto Wheat yet. Shimoki, though, multiple shots connected onto him. Still up, though, somehow, but I spoke too soon. Has been knocked now. Wheat left alone. Duo partner in the dust. No heals to work with. 37 builds. What is the thought that counts?
Yeah, iDrop high up on the mountain by himself. He got there so early when Nebs got taken down, which gives him this flexibility. You can see him building 2 layers wide, making sure he looks bigger than he actually is. That's going to be the key for his survival, especially at this stage. It's only top 20 left alive. There's barely any points being given out for placement. A lot of that, at least the lion's share of their points, is going to be coming through eliminations at this stage in the game. So every duo that iDrop can out-survive, that's going to be more points to their total.
iDrop pulls zone as well, with the opponents thinking that it's a duo up there. This could be huge for securing placement. Wheat now 1 shot away from taking out Zekro, as now he has to plan his rotate. Grapple Blade in hand, looking to see the options. What are you going to connect to, Wheat? Which is the correct path?
I say there's really not a ton for him to work with. There's a lot of players that are in that same position going around the right side before they go over, trying to give themselves elevation as iDrop is building it for himself. only one team kind of looking in that direction, and they become a target from iDrop. And this is where the different elevation changes is going to cause a lot of commotion towards the low ground, to where it's not going to give a lot of opportunities for people to look up at iDrop. This could be a perfect storm that is forming right now for him.
Trip for Doxy still looking incredibly strong. Chemistry is there as they're playing grouped up. This is a dangerous layer to be in, though. Quickly gets himself out of that sticky situation, as now the regroup needs to come through, but they see some opponents taking shots. Wheat still up in the grass now. Back to his natural habitat, 493 above. Only 4 builds to work with.
Yeah, he's just biding his time, trying to play as calculated as possible. He knows a couple teams are to his left. It's going down the mountain as well, so if he waits for them to go ahead and go first, that'll give him a lot of builds and places to hide. But with a couple shots and a couple players going past and without any builds, I was going to say that was going to come worse, but a down through the sky, he's able to clean that one up. A huge refresh in terms of materials. He got 500 wood from 4 to 500.
40 builds to work with now. Zone keeps closing towards this hill, though, so Wheat has to continue with the grapple blade rotate, drop down below. iDrop still maintaining the high ground as a solo, as now Wheat is forced into an engagement, gets taken out. For Doxy, Trip as well. Another duo knocked down. iDrop, though, up above in the clouds, looking like a duo, looking like a storm from up top as he continues taking shots.
Yeah, and he still has a decent amount of builds left on him as well. He could try to hold on to the position. Firing shots through the sky. Another elimination is going to be cleaned up in this late game. Still has his eyes set down below. Drops down to follow along, but still maintain that high ground. But by himself, he has to watch his own back. Iris and Chari, they're trying to go in forward. Diox only has a sliver of HP left. A huge find of a shot is going to take them down. But Gears has a lot of damage put on him and no time left to pop the shields. That's going to make sure that he falls, which puts a lot of pressure on the Chari, who also falls shortly after. Everybody going down in mere seconds.
Cade now continuing the momentum. Lost his duo. Diox eliminated. 5 elims for Cade. Double mythic in the loadout as iDrop is still up above as a solo. Is he going to be able to maintain it for the whole end game, start to end? The solo high ground take is now the contestation comes through. Just 3 builds to work with. He needs an impact. He needs a refresh, and that could be it.
That
picks
could be
up
the
the materials.
Right there. That's a huge amount of materials that he's finding this late in the game. It's not 500 by any means, but it keeps his position on the high ground intact. Top 6 players are falling left, right, and center. There are 4 solos running around on that low ground. 2 full teams, but it's iDrop who seems to have the most control.
Control of the game. 1 player, as now chaos unfolds down below. Pure action as players start dropping lower and lower now. The shots come through. Medkit's being popped. Who's playing heal off? Who's going for the elims?
This is it. Heal off begins towards the backside. iDrop still doing wonders as a solo. He's even following zone. That's going to give him more time on his one. Medkit for the height. That's going to be a big shot fired from above. Medkit has to be started now. No time to get the shields back. Top 3. Another player's going to go down. Everybody's left from solos, and it's iDrop by himself versus... He takes it out. He wins it by himself. Zone after zone. iDrop clutches up big, and he takes the game. I've never seen anything like it in quite a long time.
iDrop, are you kidding me? From first moving zone as a solo, takes high ground, controls it for the rest of the moving zones, and ends it up with a victory royale. What a solo play from iDrop.
Calm, cool, collected, the patience, and the perfect storm of that zone moving down the mountain. We've seen that a few times on the day. When it goes down the mountain or up elevation like that, you cannot focus on shooting the high ground. So iDrop was able to smooth sail across zone after zone after zone, eventually finding that elim towards the backside and the med kit to take the game just like this. A huge round of applause goes to Nebs and iDrop.
11 total elims for the duo. Victory royale on top. What a way to close it out, Jacob. You know that iDrop is feeling good right now.
iDrop's got to be feeling good, but Neb's got to be feeling even better. I could go down way early in the game, and hey, now he has the confidence in his teammate to put up some prime time plays during prime time on the broadcast. I give a huge round of applause for iDrop, but man, this has been one great day of games, Takata.
Look, Nebs had a first-class seat on iDrop's back in that last match. But that's it from me and Jacob commentating through these matches. We're going to head right back to Levin, Adam, and Minnie to break down the rest.